Good morning. This is your stats sensei, Mr. Spensei, and this is going to be a warm-up on one sample proportions. We're going to conduct a hypothesis test and a confidence interval. All right. So how do I reach these kids? A 2019 Common Sense Media report stated that 46% of teenagers in the U.S. felt that television was the most appropriate place for advertising to 13 to 17 age group. Post-COVID, Madison advertisers believe that this percentage had lowered. It doesn't say lowered, but it should have. A recent survey of 1,023 randomly selected teenagers from the 42 million across the United States found that 173 felt that television advertisement was the most appropriate method to reach teenagers. So, conduct a 1% at a test at the 1% level of significance to determine if the percentage of teenagers who find television advertisement effective is less than 46%. All right, so what we're interested in is television advertisement. The status quo or the claim is HO. We're talking about proportions, so P equals 0.46. The alternative is that it had decreased. So P is less than 0.46. And I get that from right here is the less than. Okay, my sample size was 1,023. And of that, 173, that's X is the number who, our number of interest. In this case, it happens to be the number of people in the survey who felt that television was the most important. P is our 0.46, and it can be P or just P naught, which is what we have here. And then P hat we find by taking the 1,023 and the 173 over that. So let's go ahead and find out what that is. So we have 173 divided by 1023, and that's 0.1691. That is a pretty big difference because we're sitting at less than 17%, and the claim was 46%. Our formula, we're going to get that from our recipe, is P equals, excuse me, Z equals P hat minus P over P times 1 minus P over N. All right, so when we go to plug in, we're looking for less than. So we want the probability that Z is less than 0.1691. That's our P hat minus our P of 0.46. 0.46, 1 minus 0.46 over our sample size of 1,023. So we're going to go to stat test. In this case, we're going to drop down to number 5, one proportion Z test. P is 0.46, the X is 173, the N is 1,023, and our alternative had a less than, so that's what we want. And we find out we get a Z-score that's way away from 0. So the probability that Z is less than negative 18.6676. We'll get a p-value of 0. Now, anytime I get a p-value of 0, I think I may have messed up. So let's go back and check. Stat test number 5, 0.46. That's right. 173, 1,023. It looks like I got everything in there right. It's just very, very rare. So we have a p-value of approximately 0. We have an alpha of 0.01, because they told us their significance level is 1%. So this is less than. So our decision is to reject the null. All right, so there's our hypothesis test. Let's do the exact same thing for a confidence interval. Well, we already have X. We know that is 173. We know that N is the 1023. We had P hat, and we already calculated that, but it was 173 over 1023, which happened to be 0.1691. And we have our confidence level, and our confidence level is, in this case, they didn't give us one. If they don't give us one, we always use 95%. So that's just as a reminder. So when they don't give it to us, use 95. So our formula is P hat plus or minus Z star P hat 1 minus P hat over N. Remember, we need to calculate Z star, so this is going to be an inverse norm. Area is going to be 1 minus 0.95 divided by 2, and we're going to want left. So let's do that. Second vars, inverse norm, parenthesis, 1 minus 0.95, close parenthesis, divided by 2. Mean is 0, standard deviation 1, left. And we end up 1.96 or 1.9599. Now we need to plug into our formula. And plugging into my formula, I'm going to have 0.1691 plus or minus 1.9599. And P hat's going to be 0.1691, 1 minus 0.1691, all over 1023. So let's go ahead and run our interval. In this case, we're going to go stat test, and we're going to drop all the way down to letter A, which is 1 proportion Z interval. 173 was our X value. 1023 was our sample size, and we want a confidence level of 95%. So we're 95% confident that it's somewhere between 14 and 19%. So 0.1461 and 0.1920. That's a big difference in the 46% that was claimed, because initially they had claimed 46%, and now we're saying, nah, it's somewhere between 15 and 19%. All right, appreciate you watching. Hope to see you on the next one. Thank you.